Who doesn't love writing off something invented and propagated by wildly more successful YouTubers? Ha ha ha. Let's talk childhood trauma. I actually really like the idea of doing a childhood trauma video. It's something we all experienced as kids and have a warm sense of nostalgia for, but it's something we all experienced differently, so we can keep making videos about it without it becoming stale too quickly. Plus, it's easy to write, easy to edit, and I can ride on the coattails of some of my favorite YouTubers like Your Movie Sucks, I Hate Everything, Cat Icarus, and Quentin Reviews. But enough about me being self-aware about my faults to try to distract you from the fact that I'm still doing them. Let's talk about the shit that scared the shit out of me. Our first stop was a little series that started as a monthly VHS release. VeggieTales. Yes, seriously. I've seen some parodies of VeggieTales depicting it as sort of an extremist Christian propaganda, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Trust me, I grew up with a lot of Christian media, and 98% of it is...
Jesus said, he loves me, I know that it's true. I can show I love him by all that I do.
Utter garbage. VeggieTales, however, is very even-handed. It's funny and interesting, it's got good music and a colorful design, and it teaches really good lessons without shoving it in kids' faces. And while it approaches these lessons from a religious angle, they're all lessons I feel most parents would want to teach their kids anyway. Don't be selfish, always be nice, and of course, don't lie. Larry Boy and the Fib from Outer Space was an episode I was really looking forward to. After all, what 3-year-old doesn't love superheroes? And with a style mimicking Tim Burton's Batman, what could possibly go wrong? The story revolves around Junior Asparagus breaking one of his dad's plates. Instead of admitting to his dad what he did, Junior lies and says one of his friends did it. It is then that the Fib lands on Earth and becomes Junior's sidekick. Aw, look at the little thing. As time goes on, Junior's lie has to get bigger and bigger to cover up his previous lies, and with each lie, the Fib gets bigger and bigger, and soon he's destroying the town! Holy shit, he's about to eat Larry Boy, who, I'm realizing almost 20 years later, had nothing to do with this plot. This really rattled me as a kid. I didn't like giant things destroying towns. Nowadays I watch Kaiju for fun, but in my adolescence, anything big enough to eat a cucumber was terrifying. Wait. Of course, this episode did teach me something very important. Carefully think through your lies so there are no holes and you don't have to cover anything up. The next installment I'm only gonna briefly mention because I kinda wanna do a full review of this movie. Fern Gully was the first movie I didn't like. Unlike VeggieTales, it wasn't funny or interesting, I don't even remember if the movie had songs, and even as a kid I could tell this movie wanted to teach me something. And no kid wants to be taught morals. Actually, I guess it did have songs because the part that stuck with me the most was a song, specifically Tim Curry's villain song. First off, to have Tim Curry's haunting yet somehow also arousing singing voice given to a scary oozing pollution monster was unnerving in and of itself. But partway through the song, he becomes this disgusting black ooze dripping skeleton. And that was enough for me. The Fib from Outer Space I tried coming back to because I thought it was a good episode, but this movie was really bad, so making it scary just really solidified that I wanted nothing to do with this film. So I guess I can't go any further without talking about that one property on everyone's list. Yeah, seems everyone got spooked by at least one episode of the Goosebumps show. But I never watched the show. I read the books. I think the show was a little before my time, but back when I was still required to read in class, Goosebumps was an easy read that they had a shit ton of at the library. They were so formulaic I managed to write my own in 6th grade, but one got me simply by playing on an already existing fear. Ventriloquist dummies. What the fuck? Look at these things. Those dead, soulless eyes and fake smile with nothing behind it. It's like they made a toy of Patrick Bateman. Oh shit, someone actually made a toy out of Patrick Bateman. You know what? Let's stop talking about this. I've had this Deadeye Eddie review of American Psycho sitting there for months. I should really finish that. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, The Devil's Hand Puppet. Night of the Living Dummy was the one and only Goosebumps book that ever gave me any sort of genuine scare. Well, maybe the first one I ever read rattled me because R.L. Stine likes to have cliffhangers, but I can't remember what the first one I read was, so we'll stick with this one. The story, to the best of my knowledge, cause fuck if I'm actually gonna read it again, is about two girls getting a pair of ventriloquist dummies, and one of them comes to life through some voodoo magic and begins brainwashing the girls to do his bidding. I should add I also hated brainwashing and hypnotism as a kid. Not as much as ventriloquist dummies, it was just something that kind of freaked me out. But combining the two? Ooh god, that was a recipe for disaster. And I think they knew the ventriloquist dummy was always the scariest one. That's why they made it the main villain in the Cash-In movie. And you're getting a 2-for-1, because a few years after I'd read the book, my favorite TV show decided to double down on that fear.
Got a blast!
Jimmy Neutron. What an odd show. But childhood Matt loved it. Look, here's the proof. Loved it, that is, except for one episode. Flippy. Flippy was a Halloween episode of the show, or at least I think it was. Otherwise, why were they making such a scary episode for no reason? Well, looks like IMDb says it came out in January, so this is a random fucked up episode. Thanks, Nickelodeon. The plot was rather simple. Jimmy's dad gets a ventriloquist dummy but is really bad and not funny, so Jimmy plants a chip in the dummy's head to make it more funny. Although, honestly, his jokes were actually pretty decent.
Yeah, what else is new, Flippy?
Well, I got arrested for stealing a sheriff's badge.
Really? Why'd they let you go?
They couldn't pin it on me.
Yeah.
Afterwards, he's just kind of a dick.
Can't you just smell all the learning? Wait a minute, that's Butch. Dude, do you ever shower?
Like, congrats, you went from that friend who makes dad jokes to Rodney Dangerfield. Anyways, then the chip becomes self-aware and starts sucking out Jimmy's dad's brain. Yes, twice in my childhood I encountered stories of the thing I fear most sucking out people's brains. Hell, this episode came out sorta late in the game and probably wouldn't even have scared me much if it had been literally anything but a ventriloquist dummy. After sucking out Jimmy's dad's brain, Flippy goes to throw his dad's body off a cliff, but because he has Jimmy's dad's brain, he gets distracted by some ducks and Jimmy just shoots the chip with his wrist laser. Glad that didn't destroy his dad's brain. Then at the end of the episode, Jimmy just explains the whole thing to his parents, who seem rather acceptant of the fact that Jimmy nearly got his dad killed. Oh, and then this. What the fuck? How is this not a Halloween episode? But none of this holds a candle to the one thing that scared me most as a child. What? No, not Monsters, Inc. I actually loved that movie. In fact, I still do. I will admit, when the teaser for it dropped before Toy Story 2, it freaked me out because I never knew monsters were hiding in my closet. But my dad explained it was just a joke and that worked, I guess. What the heck, younger me? Why can't you rationalize fears like that now? Regardless, it was my absolute favorite movie when it came out. So much so that my parents got me the special 2-disc edition of it on DVD. This was the first DVD I remember owning. Maybe we had a few before this, but we were still in those days of the oft-forgotten VHS. So I was pretty pumped to have 2 discs worth of my favorite movie, and you bet your sweet ass I watched every second of material on these discs, including this. What you're seeing is early test footage of Mike and Sully before they had reached the designs we all know and love. This scared the pants off me as a kid, and I cannot tell you why. Maybe it's how low texture everything is, making it seem weirdly uncanny, added to the fact that I'm looking at a bastardized version of the characters I've grown to love. Maybe it's the fact that seeing old or lost footage of stuff can be a bit weird sometimes. Hell, here's our friend Jimmy Neutron again.
Hi, I'm Johnny Quasar.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Johnny Quasar, because I guess Jimmy was supposed to be a Reb Brown character. Also, holy shit, what is this? Or maybe I just found them to be genuinely scary monsters. Who knows? Usually in these situations I tend to go with a combination of all these answers, so it's probably a combination of all 3 of these leading to my terrible inner turmoil. But it gets weirder. For starters, I recall young me coming back and rewatching this bonus feature in particular from time to time, I guess just to see if I still found it scary, though this is the first time I've watched it since I was about 10 and I can safely say I am no longer scared by it. But the weirdest thing to me is, for some reason in my head, this feature was almost entirely these 2 creepy characters. But now that I'm seeing it again, These guys take up about 20 seconds of this 2 to 3 minute segment. That's right, the thing that scared me most in my childhood is 20 seconds of material buried on a bonus disc of what was, at the time, my favorite movie. In fact, as I've grown to find horror more interesting than I do scary, it's very likely this 20 seconds is one of the things that has scared me most in my life. Thanks, Pixar. So yeah, the thing that scared me most came from my favorite show when I was a toddler, my favorite show as an 8 to 10-year-old, and my first favorite movie. It really is the ones you love the most that hurt you. Well, not Fern Gully. Fuck Fern Gully. Thank you for watching. That one was a lot of fun to make. Should I have made a childhood drama video? Probably not, but if no one's gonna watch my stuff, might as well do the videos I want to make. And boy, I had a lot of fun with that. Be sure to tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. The audio was kind of weird. I kept, losing syllables. So, sorry about that. Just tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. Share this with everyone you know and love. And, I guess that's all. I'll see ya. My favorite part of this picture is that the girl in the background is in focus and I'm not. The days before digital cameras were a wild one. And apparently this is the only surviving photo of me dressed as Jimmy Neutron.